This is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast. All right, how's it going today? We are sitting here in Sulphur Springs, Texas again on the comfortable Nebraska Furniture Mart couch. And I'm sitting here with my buddy KC. What's happening, dude?
Man, not a lot. It's early today.
It is early. It's early.
A new thing for us. Hopefully our dynamic will still be super dynamic.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope my voice doesn't cut out on me at any point. So
Yeah, no. How's those Aggies?
The Aggies?
The Aggies.
I almost thought you said Aggies there.
No, that's how our old coach used to say it. He was from Jersey, so he'd say, "Let's go Aggies."
Oh, the eggs were good, man. I had to scarf them down before we started. It was a 8 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Eastern start time today. So it was pretty early. I ended up waking up before my alarm, as usual.
When we say early, we don't actually mean 8 a.m. is early, but all the things we do in our normal mornings have to get bumped back probably an hour or two. So
Yeah.
we were both up at 5.
Oh,
today.
yeah.
That was early.
I was up at 4:30, went back to sleep for a little while, and the next time I checked the clock, it was 5:30. So got up, went and ran basically in the dark. Almost ran into somebody on the path.
Oh, man.
Because he didn't see me. I saw him, but he was just like walking, bobbing his head.
Did you one of those old juke and jive moves from back in the day?
Yeah, he was right in the middle, and all of a sudden I was like, okay, is this guy on a move or not? And he saw me last second and kind of was like, good morning. But yeah, we've been up for a while now, so I think hopefully our radio voices will be good.
Smooth and clear.
Smooth, crisp, and clear, like the weather, except for not clear.
No, we got a cold front last night,
Just
which
crisp.
is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Dude, so I got up this morning and put on shorts because yesterday was so warm. I was like, oh, I'll be good to work in shorts today, no big deal. And then I walk outside and I'm like, I'm going back inside and get my pants.
Yep, it was pretty chilly. I had looked it up. I didn't know it was coming in last night until my mom told me, but I looked it up and saw that the front was supposed to come in today and pretty much gets colder all day, I think.
Yeah.
So it's back to feeling like January, February weather.
It reminds me of what you wish would happen in mid-November around here, where like you have these days of 75 and then a cold front, plus, and then a cold front pushes through. It's like 45 degrees.
Yeah, it's like 20. It's like we had basically like a 30-degree drop.
Yeah, it's nice.
I think it said it was 78 yesterday, and it's supposed to be 48 for the majority of the day today, I think. So
those are awesome, except we get them on February 2nd.
Yeah. We might just need to go hog hunting.
yeah, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Let's just ditch out and go do that instead.
Exactly. Start chasing them with our bows. Okay, so we have good news to announce right now. Apparently, as of, I guess, last night or this morning, Senator Jason Chaffetz from Utah has recalled the bill that he introduced.
No more 621.
No more 621.
That's what I'm talking about. That means the voices of the American sportsmen were heard, and that is awesome to be a part of that.
It is.
I know we're a small part, but everyone's little part became a big part with that.
Yeah, it's just like the voting process. You're a small part, but everything counts. And I think there was several times that I tagged him on Instagram per my account and the Element account, and just wanted him to know where we stood. And I think probably hundreds of other people did that, if not thousands. And he must have come to his senses. So it is really great to have a voice and feel that voice. And especially, the majority of the voice was heard through social media, probably.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there was a few rallies, but
it's cool that social media can be used for good things nowadays. You know what I mean? Because you get so much negativity and stuff. And that's essentially what that was you hate to say negativity, but for a positive reason, you know what I mean? Like, hey, guy, this ain't going to work, you know? And guys, don't, misunderstand this as a victory, because we just won a battle, definitely not the war. You know, there's no reason to stop calling your senators and telling them that public lands are a big issue and we want to keep them public, you know? Because that's how the other side battle. I mean, that's how they fight. They say, oh, you're right. And then under the darkness of night, they do something else.
Right.
You know?
They slip it in on you.
Yeah. And you could tell that, by his response, that he was kind of oh, I never really wanted to turn over the public lands.
It was very political.
Yeah, and he was like, these are all lands that Bill Clinton established as, unusable, wasteful. Like, okay, 3.3 million acres is wasteful lands. Right. Yeah, right, dude.
Yeah,
but either way, it's a victory.
And he wanted to make sure. I guess the conservatives thought that he sided with them still through the support of the Second Amendment. Mm-hmm. And like you talked about with Witt the other day, like, well, yeah, I mean, dude, you support the Second Amendment, and you support all these different conservative values mm-hmm. that we've talked about, and moralistic values, but then you're an enemy of the sportsman, because I mean, a guy like that has probably never really hunted on public land in his life.
Oh, probably not.
Or fished. Mm-hmm. He may have walked down a trail in a park or something like that,
mm-hmm.
National park or something like that. I mean, but the guy's just not. If he wants to go hunting, he posted a picture of himself in camouflage.
Oh, how cool!
And how cool! He posted that picture, and I'm thinking, well, okay, everybody's had a camo cap on at one time, mm-hmm. But I'm thinking also this guy's probably, if he wants to go elk hunting, he's going to call up his buddy and use a governor style tag or whatever he wants to make up. I mean, they it's a little bit elitist going on there, mm-hmm. and they're probably going to be hunting on private, and that's fine. I don't have anything against private land hunting. I'm just saying this guy doesn't know. He is not connected with the average Joe. Mm-hmm. There's disconnect there. So, but anyway, we got a victory in that battle.
That's right.
And we got to keep fighting. Yes, definitely. They're going to have to come and take it, aren't they?
That's right. They're going to come and take it, man.
Yep.
For sure. So. And, I mean, I called Tyler yesterday afternoon after work and just was fired up about public land stuff. And it's like, dude, we need to make a video and do more stuff because we're not doing enough. And every once in a while, I just kind of get all worked up and ready to punch walls and stuff. But we're cool this morning. It's nice in the mornings, pretty chill. So I don't really feel like punching too many senators today. So,
that's good.
Yeah.
You'd probably be in big trouble if you did. So, well, that's good, man. I'm glad to announce that, and I'm glad if you hopefully by the time this podcast releases, you have heard that. But if not, then I'm glad to announce that to you. I kind of want to change gears here real quick before we get Sam on the phone. We've got a good episode coming up today with Sam Hogan from Fourth Arrow, and I think there's going to be a lot of good information here for the newbie or beginner, and just good tips that you may not have thought about from a self-filming standpoint, or just a filming standpoint in general, and some cutting up and having fun. Anyway, to change course here real quick before we get him on the line. I had a question that I was thinking about earlier, right after my run, and I was thinking, okay, so you hunted public lands in 2013 pretty heavily, and that was kind of your last year to hunt them heavily until this year. Mm-hmm. So, I'm thinking about something that's kind of weighed on my mind pretty heavily the last several months with deer season and stuff is that Jet he's still a little bitty. But he's growing so fast that I'm like, man, it'll be here before no time when we go hunting, and it'll be a few years. But, I guess my question is, I've got a few just different thoughts here. And it's like, do you want to go take your son or daughter hunt a feeder in the hill country where there's, hundreds of thousands of deer or whatever there is? I mean, and have them, see deer come out to the feeder within a few minutes and shoot a deer, even if it's a doe or whatever, and kind of have that expectation from the get-go. It's kind of like we've talked about before, like, do you want your 12-year-old son to shoot a 200? Because now what? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a young hunter needs a little bit of activity to kind of keep them in the game, Mm-hmm. So, like, but I'm thinking about the public land deal, and I'm like, man, it might be a good place to go to shoot a doe first off, because it's not like just you won't be slam packed with mm-hmm. them, but like you have an opportunity to shoot a doe if you're in the right spot, probably nearly every day. But
which we weren't this year, which is, I thought about that this morning. We never saw a doe from the stand this year and saw
lots of bucks.
6 or 7 different bucks from the stand.
And we had way more bucks on camera.
Yeah.
We thought that might be because we were in a buck bedding area.
Yeah.
Or
we'll figure that out pretty soon.
Or maybe we were just in a big transition area where does in between doe bedding areas.
Yeah. But anyway, sorry.
No, so my question to you is, did you see does, like you said you saw does pretty much every day, but was there like a shooting opportunity every day, or were you seeing them sometimes from 150 yards or whatever?
No, there wasn't a shooting opportunity every day. I mean, it's probably 1/3 of the times I had does within range.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, but I could see 600 plus yards from
right.
the stand.
That's why I kind of wanted to ask.
But at the same time, me being somewhat of an ignorant hunter at that point in time, I was sitting in an observation stand all season. I should have set that stand, saw where the does and bucks were moving through, and moved to a more high traffic area, and I never did it. I just was hoping they would come my way at one point in time. You know, so I think it would have been no problem to go back there and harvest a doe. And I mean, I still could have harvested doe multiple times back there, but
I was just wondering about that because it was like, you know, in the next couple of years, I might have to start thinking about, you know, I want to do big hunts that, you know, like you and I will go on out west, and I want to, you know, I want to shoot big deer and stuff like that. But I don't. This may sound weird. I don't necessarily want Jet to shoot a big deer the first year he hunts. You know.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, part of that too is like, and I know you'll do this, but your responsibility as a parent hunter to teach them those values. You know, like it's not about going and shooting, you know, this giant 3.5-year-old on some ranch. You know, it's about, you know, taking your time and going through due process. And that was one of the things that I was taught by my dad, at least at that age, was my dad and granddad facilitated pretty much my first kill for me. It was a doe, you know, and I was ecstatic. You know, it was great. And they, you know, set up the stand, carried me, did everything, probably loaded the gun for me too. I don't really remember that, but it was with the rifle. And then after that, the next step was, okay, you did that. Now we're going to carry you and sit you in this spot, and you make your own choices.
Right.
You know, what you shoot, what you don't. And then after I did that, it was pretty much, hey, where do you want to put your stand this year? You know, so like you go through that progression, and you kind of get to make the choices of what you want to kill and live with the consequences of that. You know, like if Jet sees an awesome forker and he wants to smoke it, you know, when he's like 10 or 11 and he's happy with it, you know, let him do it. You know, that's kind of, and if he wants to hold out for a bigger deer, you know, maybe let him do that too. And I think that for me, one thing that helped me a lot is, I feel like whenever you're a kid, and this might be a little morbid, but you have this desire to go out in the woods and kill stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, like,
I know what you're talking
about.
about.
Go, like, we all grew up running around BB guns shooting Chi-Chi birds, which, I mean, nowadays I would probably never do that because I value the life of that little birdie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there's a way to facilitate that and funnel it down into a good thing. All right. So, like, growing up, you know, once I got to being able to, you know, kind of hold my own in the woods, me and my dad hit the canoe, and, man, we went hog hunting like every weekend. And you can hunt hogs nearly any time of the year, and you get to shoot stuff, and you learn the value of life at the same time because you see this animal die, and you understand you can take it home and eat it. Like, it's really good to maybe not always think in deer thought pattern when it comes to that stuff. You know, like, I mean, I'm sure the first game animal I took, I think, was a squirrel. I think squirrels or rabbits, one of the two, and we cooked them. You know,
mine was a duck.
Yours was a duck.
So, you know, kind of small game. You know,
exactly. And you know, it's light and easy and accessible, but at the same time, it still teaches you the value of life, and you know, it gets you. This is such a remedial way of saying this, but it gets you a couple kills under your belt. Yeah, you know what I mean.
Little experience.
Yeah, little experience, and it shows you that, hey, there is repercussions, both positive and negative, of me pulling this trigger on this animal.
Right. Well, I don't know. I was just thinking about it, and I was kind of, you know, the main reason that I was thinking about it was, you know, I'm thinking, where would I take Jed around here, you know, in 3 years when when he's ready to shoot a buck, or not a buck, a deer.
Are you going to start him on a bow, or are you going to start with a gun?
No, it'll be a gun.
Yeah.
I mean, and so obviously a public land deal, you can't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
But when you start looking at that, you get a couple kills under your belt idea, and then now we're going to go and hunt and start learning a little more and not be so fostered. The public land thing might be good. Yeah. But at the same time, you don't want, and I don't think it would happen, but you don't want a kid to not see a deer all day on public land, walk in a mile at the age of, 11 with you, and basically give up hunting.
But that stings a whole lot less if you've gone out the week before and shot a couple squirrels and a hog.
Yeah.
And then you learn that lesson of, hey, sometimes you can fail no matter what you do. You know what I mean? Like there's this concept and idea of if I work harder and do my best, I'm going to be successful. That's not always true.
It's true.
It might be in life, and some successes may be a lot harder to see. My success today might be that I make it home to my wife.
Right.
That's a success. You know what I mean? But like at the same time, it might be, in my mind, it might be a failure. But I didn't get as much done today at work as what I wanted to do. I didn't make that phone call I needed to make, and this and that. And that's one of those lessons you can learn with, a failed hunt. Like you do everything right, you got the wind right, you taught yourself everything you need to know, you go up in the tree, get there 30 minutes early, and then you still don't get to seal the deal.
You and I off the air talked about this the other day, kind of with some past business stuff that in past business ventures, and it's like, like I said, it is, you could put in more work than anybody else, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you'll be successful in what you do. I mean, in the end, God decides if you're successful.
That's right.
I mean, it doesn't matter. And then when you are successful, it still doesn't really have anything to do with you.
Yeah.
It's not because of your hard work. It's because God wanted you to be,
Yeah, exactly.
So,
which I feel like he appreciates hard work, but sometimes he still sees that you need to be told no.
Right. Yep. There's always a lesson to be learned, man. So speaking of lessons, why don't we get a few camera lessons here from Sam?
That's what I need, man. Like, okay. So me and Tyler run around, and he's trying to teach me this camera stuff, and like, I just understand ISO and f-stop and stuff. Barely.
I haven't done much teaching yet, though.
Yeah.
You'll pick it up quick.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll learn from the master. But all right, let's get Sam on the line, see what he can teach us, see if I can learn something.
Let's do it. So on the phone we have Sam Hogan with Fourth Arrow Camera Arms. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, not much. How are you guys?
We're doing good. I'm doing good. I mean, it's early here in Texas, but I feel pretty good. Got up and got a run in and got me some eggs, to your dismay.
I didn't keep you guys from sleeping in, did I?
No, I was up at 5:30, which is kind of per usual for me. What about you, Casey?
I was up at 5 this morning. So
okay, so I slept in is what you're saying.
Yeah, we had to jump on you, man.
Yeah, no kidding. I got up at about 6 o'clock and headed to the office, so you guys beat me by an hour.
Oh, well, it's probably about the same time, actually.
Actually, yeah, you're right. I mean, from Texas, it's for sure the same time.
Yeah. All right, man.
But
did we all set Are we playing that?
I didn't.
Well, that's good, man. So you said you have a coffee and you are ready to roll then, huh?
Yes, sir.
Right.
I think I'm on 2. It's a problem. It really is. It's something that I've got to back off of it a little bit.
It's kind of like
we're going through a coffee budget in like 2 weeks when it should be less. At least a month.
Well, I mean, if you get paid bi-weekly, that's not a bad deal, I don't guess.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that.
Well, awesome, man. So, where are you coming to us from today, man?
We're in Grand Rapids. This is where the Fourth Arrow offices are. We're just I guess Grand Rapids isn't technically right. We're just a tad north in Belmont, Michigan.
Mm-hmm. Well, we do the same thing. Like we have to tell people we're from Dallas, even though we're about 70 miles east of there, because no one knows where Emory or Sulphur Springs, Texas is. So I understand. Yeah.
Yep. I would have been just that way, and we get it all the time. Even people from Grand Rapids will say, "Yeah, we're from Belmont." And they're like, "That's west, right?" No, straight north. But
yeah.
So Grand Rapids is just a ton easier.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's a lot less talking about it, really. Usually.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Well, just give us tell us who you are and how you got where you are and what you're doing today, man.
Yeah. So right now I am the marketing coordinator for Fourth Arrow Brands, and Fourth Arrow Brands underneath it is the camera arms, which are really just a year old, and WinScent. WinScent's a vapor scent dispersal system. Basically, what kind of our background is all in marketing. Both myself and a number of other guys on the team were a part of a marketing firm, and we kind of teamed up with what was originally just WinScent, and WinScent really wanted to get marketed, to get out there, and we worked hard. We were getting it out there. We went to our first ATA show, and we went to ATA, and it was not this past ATA, which ended earlier last month, but the ATA before that. So that would have been 2016's ATA, and we just had a camera arm that was sitting in the back, and it really wasn't anything that we had put that much time into. And people were walking past the WinScent stuff, checking out the camera arms, and at that point we were like, man, we gotta do something here with just the camera arm side of things. So very quickly we had to develop and grow that brand. And it's just a small team here. 3 guys in the office that are here pretty much every day and trying to make it happen.
Awesome, man. So if I understand correctly, you guys actually started in the WinScent area, and the camera arm kind of was an afterthought and became something once you realized there might be a market there, I guess, right?
Absolutely. And we had all filmed our hunts for years, and it had been something that we actually produced a DVD for 6 years, and we just kind of sat down. We're like, well, while we're in the business of making stuff, let's try and see what we can do with the camera arm side of things.
So when you say you got a couple of buddies that you work with, I guess?
Correct. It's 2 of us came directly from the marketing firm, and then there's a number of us. There's myself, Calvin, who also came from the marketing firm. He's the guy who's in a lot of these commercials. Mm-hmm. And then there's a number of engineers, product developers that also work with us to come up with these product lines.
So, do you guys hunt together much, or is that kind of a thing of the past? You getting too busy for one, 2 or 3 guys to take off work at the same time? Yeah,
it's kind of something that I'm scared of, because everybody in the outdoor space is like, man, I don't get to hunt as much as I used to. Mm-hmm. I'm like, man, don't tell me that. That's not what I wanted to hear. But
my dad's my dad owns a fishing lodge down here in Texas, and he always laughs because when we lived in the Metroplex, he fished more than when he bought a fishing lodge and started running that. He's like, I moved to the lake and now I don't fish anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy how that works.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Now one of us has always got to be in the office to hop on phone calls and deal with just day-to-day stuff. And
yeah. Pesky podcasters.
We're self-filming a whole lot more. We're not going out in teams as much as we used to, and we still, everybody in the office had a really good year, so we still obviously made time to hit the woods. But that's not really an option, is it?
Yeah.
We needed to be out there.
So, I have, I guess, 2 questions that have come to mind after what you just said there. So, are you guys still trying to produce, say, a DVD or a web series out of your video content, or is it just kind of for fun?
Yeah, it was a DVD, and it had quite the following. It's called Michigan Whitetail Pursuit. It's obviously just Michigan hunts. It had quite the following, and we decided we were going to kick off these brands. We looked at where are we going to be able to promote these brands the most. So we're we decided, okay, let's just go with a web show here. Let's go and start putting it up just on YouTube, and because the real value is promoting the brands that we're developing, and free content is obviously the best way to get it in front of the most people, where DVDs, you're not reaching quite the same volume that you're capable of online.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's still going on. It's just not in a DVD format.
Right. Yeah. Well, we understand that. It's kind of where we're at too. I've been filming for quite some time, and have done quite a bit of self-filming. Actually ended up self-filming a good deer in Kansas in 2015 that I shot. And it's just it's kind of a different, it's a different ball game, and it's much tougher in my opinion. And also the footage isn't quite as good, but people, if you can, be, real and, people can see that and will latch on to stuff like that, even if the kill shot isn't, perfect like you would see maybe on the Outdoor Network or something like that.
Well, exactly. Guys are hit so hard with all this kind of doctored up hunts, and you can go on YouTube and just look at some of these. I mean, small, just a guy filming his hunts, and that dude's got a following because he's just showing it as it happens. I mean, he's certainly not getting you the best footage. He probably has a little Sony Handycam, but he has built this following just on being real and authentic. Right. Which is, I think, what you're describing right there.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's and the good thing about the digital side of this push, I guess, is that guys can, and just even if you're listening to the podcast right now, you have searched out something that you're interested in, and you can cut through all of the mess and the fluff, and you don't have to listen to commercials if you don't want to, and you can watch things that you want to, and you're not really force-fed what's on TV anymore. It's a really cool time to be in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. Everybody all of a sudden kind of has a voice. They have a potential to put something together that people find interesting. And I mean, you see it online. It just takes one really cool thing happening, and all of a sudden your video is seen by all kinds of people. So, I mean, that's how a lot of these guys who are a little bit bigger now, that's how they got there, just by putting their day-to-day stuff, filming their hunts, putting it out there, and something cool happened, and it snowballed. And every single person who's out there who's filming their hunts or not filming their hunts but wants to start, I mean, they have that potential.
Right. KC, what are you thinking about this, man?
Oh, man, that's just kind of how I believe, too. It's so cool to be able to capture the raw emotion in footage, and it's not something I've been doing near as long as either of the two of you, but, I enjoy watching what you're describing, and sometimes for me it gets a little embarrassing if I'm on footage because I got a lot of raw emotion, so it gets a little crazy.
Yeah. But the guys like it.
Oh, yeah. For sure. You just don't like watching yourself.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure I'm going to listen back to this thing and be like, what was I saying? But it's the same thing with video. You start rambling in an intro or something, and I mean, you watch it back. Nobody likes listening to themselves, seeing themselves. It's just awkward.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, Sam, let's talk about your hunting career, man. Are you originally from Michigan? I hear that's a pretty hard state to hunt.
It is a hard state to hunt. Ironically, my hunting career is not much to talk about. I was born in New Brunswick, and fishing is everything up there, and that's northeastern Canada. Lots of salmon, lots of steelhead, moose. I mean, I still wanted to go do a moose hunt. Never got the opportunity. But I didn't start hunting until I was probably 15. Mm-hmm. And I look back at what I was doing, and I was an idiot. It was crazy. I don't know what I was thinking. I see all these guys in tree stands. I'm some 15-year-old kid. Nobody in my family hunts. I literally elevated myself like 6 feet. I used a climbing stick and a half. I'm like, all right, this is high enough. And I really do wish I had a camera and I had video recorded all of that just because it would have just been hilarious. Guys would just laugh at me. But really, I didn't shoot my first good buck until this year. I've been hunting, I'd say, really hunting, not just being an idiot in the woods. I started kind of taking it a lot more seriously probably 3 years ago. So, and that was all in Michigan. So my entire hunting career, if you want to call it that, it's kind of flattering, really. It's all Michigan.
That's cool.
And it is tough. There's a lot of pressure. Guys, we just started doing a couple out-of-state hunts and just public land DIY hunts where we're still filming them, but we go out to Wisconsin. It's a completely different ball game. It's actually really, really nice. I went back there 4 different weekends, just because it was phenomenal. It was unreal. Just public land in Wisconsin. And I shouldn't be telling everybody this because they'll be in there.
Giving away all the secrets, man.
Yeah, it was Kansas. Did I say Wisconsin?
Yeah, Kansas is where we all need to go. Yeah. So you talk about being how you wish you had a camera to capture some of your earlier goofier things. I, in fact, have my first bow kill on camera, and Tyler got to see that the other day. We might release that one of these days if I can find a hole big enough to crawl in. But it was done with one of those old Sony, probably a Handycam or something, 2001 model, and it's from a tree, and I shot a 117-inch 2.5, 3.5-year-old buck, and I thought it was an absolute giant and freak out in the tree, But that's what it's all about, Like, looking back, I'm so embarrassed of myself, but at the same time, like, I hope that I'm still able to tap into that kind of raw emotion. You know what I mean?
Oh, and absolutely. And you probably look back at that buck as one of your most memorable hunts. I mean, my first deer I ever shot was literally a spike. It was a spike with a shotgun. And I was so tickled, it was ridiculous. And I was jumping up and down, and I wasn't filming my hunts. But to this day, I do wish I had that memory on film, because I don't know if I'll ever feel that way about any other deer. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I get excited as the next guy. I mean, I'm pumped, but it's just different that first time you ever kind of get it done. And for me, it was quite the quest of jumping around in the woods before I actually all came together. And granted, it was the dumbest deer in the woods, but I didn't care. It was it came in directly downwind, and I was like, well, I'm gonna shoot it. And
yeah, there you go.
It doesn't get better.
It all tastes the same, so it's very good. So you want to tell us a little bit about your hunt this year? Like the age class, that buck, how it went. Was it on public land? And then did you actually use some of your products to harvest that deer?
Yeah, in Michigan. You get two buck tags, and what we did early season, September, before Michigan's deer season opened, we went to Wisconsin, and both myself and one of the other guys in the office, we had a phenomenal encounters, but we just could not get it done. 4 arrows were flung and 1 connected. It was not one of mine, but it was.
Was it the 4th arrow?
It was. It actually was the 4th arrow. Now that you mention it,
all right, there we go.
I never thought about that, but you're right. So we started the season off kind of on a slump. We were just like, man, we were seeing all these bucks. We had encounters, and we just could not put the arrows where they needed to be. We were getting trees in the way. It seemed like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. So I came back to Michigan, October, mid to late October. I just had phenomenal footage of this one buck, and it was the biggest buck that I had seen to date, which is not saying much. I mean, when I say 3 years, I'm not exaggerating. I had not shot a buck over like 90 inches. And I mean, I'm aware it makes me sound really lame, but that is me. I am lame.
No.
And I had this one goofy buck come in, and I just got phenomenal footage, and he was a year and a half old, maybe 2.5 years old. And I was just watching him, and I was like, man, this is great footage. He's making a scrape in the sunlight, all kinds of daylight left. And he was, I'll be honest, smaller than what I was kind of hoping to shoot. But I was like, what are we going to use this footage for if I don't shoot him? And so I shot him, and it was my biggest buck that I had shot that far in the season and that far in my hunting career, and it was a riot. I'm so glad that I did pull the trigger because my mom came out, and here I am talking about my mom. If you didn't think I was lame already, I'm sitting on a podcast talking about my mom.
So the person who filmed that hunt that I have on film was my mom. She was in the tree stand with me as a high schooler, so I understand completely.
Dude, that's awesome. See, I mean, that when you can get the family involved in it, I mean, I'm sure your mom was just as excited as you were, and I don't know if she hunts, but even if she doesn't, your excitement, your just joy at that moment, I'm sure was contagious.
Oh yeah, for sure. She actually sounds way sillier than I do in the videos. But yeah, it's awesome. And then since then, I would like to think that experience. So she really wasn't much of a hunter. She grew up in central Minnesota and moved to Texas as a teenager, and never was much of a hunter, but went with me to be with me in the stand and video. And since then, she's purchased a bow, practiced with it, and has been on 4 Colorado archery hunts since then, and almost sealed the deal twice. So I would like to think that is a correct assumption. I mean, that enthusiasm was contagious, and it helped to, expand the hunting world to her.
Oh, and that's all. I mean, how cool is it that you get to hunt with your mom?
Oh yeah.
I mean, that's pretty neat. I mean, I just recovered that buck with my mom, and my little sister was there as well, and it was just, I don't hunt that much at home, but they've all expressed a degree of interest. I haven't gotten so far as getting bows, but every time I come back and say, yeah, even if I shot a doe or something, they're all like putting on their boots before I even walk back out the door. And they all just kind of want to be a part of it. They think it's really cool. That recovery is actually on film for this year. So I kind of get to, similar to what you did, getting your mom to film that hunt, my recovery is all on film, and I can watch that. And that always just kind of makes me happy every time I rewatch that and see how excited she was. And I was so excited, I don't know that I even really realized it at the time, but looking back at it, I mean, she was in sneakers. I mean, I'll give you a little bit of the detail here. She was in sneakers, and that buck ran and died about 30 yards into a marsh. And when she just went sloshing through the entire marsh to go and get that buck, and she was into her knees in muck, and it was just a mess. But I mean, that she was willing to do that because she wanted to be a part of it. That was pretty neat.
My mom would not hurt a butterfly. Like, y'all are talking about this kind of stuff, and my mom is one of those types that's like, did you catch any deers? So,
yeah, and you're like, oh, cringe, face palm, like what?
yeah, she just is not a hunter at all. So it's hard for me to relate to that. But I mean, my dad has definitely fostered my hunting career, so it's I still get to enjoy that with a parent, for sure.
Well, that also means, I mean, by having somebody in your family who did kind of hunt and grow up kind of teaching you, you probably didn't ever sit in a tree stand 5.5 feet off the ground either, did you?
No, I didn't. My dad was kind of the first generation to learn about bow hunting and hunting in general, really. And so he was the guy that learned all that stuff and made all the mistakes, and then taught me, look with your eyes, not with your head, and all these other lessons that, we tend to learn as we become bow hunters. So, anyway.
Well, real quick, before we let this topic slip by us,
okay,
I just want to announce that I did graduate from the 1.5-year-old club. And my second buck this year was a 4 or 5-year-old that I'd been hunting since opening day. So I have just so everybody doesn't all of a sudden realize, man, those Fourth Arrow guys, they kind of suck. They're not real big into deer hunting. I did graduate. I got my big buck diploma, and I'm very proud of that. So
that's awesome.
Just wanted to throw that in there before we hop to the next question.
Good stuff, man. Yeah, definitely send us a picture, man. We'll put it up on our media and stuff, man. I want to see that. I want to see that deer for sure.
I'll send you the episode that it's in, and I'll just kind of mostly. Yeah. I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff in there, from my mom helping to recover it, which is in that video as well, and to my first big whitetail. So awesome. You'll be able to watch it in a way that I'm sure I did not accurately describe.
Yeah, that's great, dude. We can link to that in the show notes and stuff too, so anybody who's listening can see it. That'd be great. Definitely send us that. Okay. I guess moving on a little bit, are you guys looking to get into any like accessory fields or anything? Or are you kind of sticking with producing quality camera arm and then sticking with the wind scent stuff as well?
Well, I guess, what do you mean by accessories? Because
just like I don't a tree stand accessories of any kind necessarily. It doesn't
gotcha.
Necessarily.
Okay.
I don't. And you may not be able to announce any of this. I don't know. So.
No, we're fairly transparent with what's coming up as far as camera arms go, and it's we're not really doing other accessories. Our kind of goal is to be kind of a hub for outdoor videography. Mm-hmm. So when guys are going out there filming their hunts, we want to kind of be the brand that they recognize and say, okay, I know these guys make some killer camera arms, some awesome tripod attachments, and I mean, it's just we've witnessed so much growth in that category. Just kind of on a quick tangent, we kind of developed our own little video head, and it's a real simple video head. Mm-hmm. And we kind of had the intention of selling like 30 of them to guys who are just now getting into the outdoor space, and they really wanted a basic yet fully functional head that's going to work for them, but it's not replacing any Manfrottos or any nice video heads. Just kind of a testament to how quickly the outdoor videography space is growing. We went from thinking we were going to sell maybe 30 of them to guys who just wanted a full self-filming package with a camera arm, bases, and a video head. We ended up selling nearly 500 of them.
Wow. Just
because so many guys are getting into it. So we look at that as like, man, it is an exciting time to be a part of the self-filming, the outdoor videography space. So we kind of just want to grow with that category and keep kind of coming out with new stuff that makes it easier, makes it more efficient, allows you to get better footage.
That's awesome, man. I was looking at those heads the other day, or yesterday actually, and I thought, because I use a big Manfrotto head when I film, and so we exclusively hunted public land last year. Casey and I did. So, you, as you probably know, to get into the deer sometimes on public land, I mean, it's a pretty good trek in. And when you've got, the hardest part for me is on a cold day, and, we're Texans, so that may be like 45, but, on a cold day, I'm carrying in layers, because if you don't, you're going to sweat really hard walking in. So we're just, basically T-shirt and pants on the way in, and you've got to carry all your jackets and everything. And then you've got, personally, I have a really heavy camera arm that I use for majority of the season that it's just, you got to strap that thing on, and then you got a big Manfrotto head, and, I've been carrying 2 cameras with me and 2 lenses, and it's just, it's tough to fit it all into a backpack for one, much less to carry it, half mile or a mile and a half or whatever it may be that you're hunting. So, I'm definitely in the market for a smaller head, and I saw that you guys have that. It's lightweight, but on the public land topic here, what could you give the listener a kind of directory towards what kind of gear you guys offer, what products you offer that a public land hunter could use effectively, and that would really work for them in a lightweight and functional, manner.
Yeah, I mean, public land. It's two things are kind of working here, and they're very similar. They're very similar categories. It's public land, and then it's self-filmers. A lot of them, what you really are trying to do is minimize what you're carrying out there. So, for one, just the system of the camera arms, everything, it's a 3-piece system as opposed to a 2-piece system. So it becomes very packable. I always tell people weight isn't necessarily everything. You want the lightest stuff, but bigger than weight is the packability of the system. And for example, if you're carrying a 10-pound giant box, you'd rather carry a 15-pound little box with a handle or something more efficient and easier to carry, even though it weighs a little bit more. So our whole system is packability. We did come out with our first camera arm was a carbon fiber arm. So it's a very lightweight, packable, quiet system. And a lot of the public land guys use that quite a bit.
So I was looking at the products, and I don't know exactly when you guys got started and began marketing the Fourth Arrow stuff, but I have known about you guys for over a year. I don't even know when the first time. I think I've reached out to Calvin before. We had some correspondence, but I don't know exactly when the first time was that I heard about you guys. But from the moment that I saw the system, I thought that is genius, and I need it. And then you can tell that you guys put a lot of just thought into this, not truly just based off the system, but even from this little bitty detail of putting like a little gear hook on the bottom of the base. It's like it's little, but like it just makes so much sense. Like, why would you not maximize? If you're going to, you think about a deer hunter that's maximizing a certain property that he may be hunting on, to have the maximum potential of deer on it and the maximum amount of feed and cover and stuff like that from a management standpoint, shouldn't that carry over into the deer hunter's gear? And I think that what you guys are doing there with the small details and the painstaking attention to those details really shows that you guys have quality products for sure.
Yeah, and it was something we really wanted to make sure that when we came out with it, we were coming out with the perfect solution. We didn't want to kind of ease in and eventually come out with something good. We wanted to go into it like, this is everybody who films their hunt is going to want this system. So that's kind of been our game plan. And as far as that gear hook, but like everybody who is carrying a bunch of stuff out into the woods, filming their hunt, especially these public land hunters, one, they're not allowed to screw in the tree. So having a screw in on a lot of public land is illegal. So we're like, well, we're already making something that attaches to the tree. Let's just maximize that and just allow them to hang their backpack right on that base.
Yeah.
So yeah, it comes from a lot of personal experience, getting frustrated. Where am I supposed to hang this if I can't screw into this tree on public lands, which it obviously sounds like you guys hunt quite a bit of. But yeah, we really do pride ourselves in putting that thought, that extra kind of effort in providing something that is going to be the best possible solution.
Yeah. And I'm not just sitting here blowing smoke and talking it up because we're on the phone with you. I've talked to KC about this before, and I just think that what you guys are doing is great.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, man, no doubt. I mean, we try to, we were talking about earlier, you and I, about the realism that people are grasping onto in film and just being real and cutting the fluff and everything. And I feel like that. we're doing the same thing here on the podcast. We're not trying to have guests that are going to like boost our podcast for the sake of their celebrity. You know, like we're just trying to have people that we believe in what they're doing, you know, so we do believe in what you guys are doing. That said, I would like to kind of open up some dialogue for just like tips and thoughts that you might have for beginners that are interested in filmmaking or video, and I can hopefully add to that or, you know, share thoughts or whatever as well. I saw a blog that I think you had written or had a part in on the website that was talking about you know, how can a guy get into videoing hunts for right around $500? So can you explain that and elaborate on that for us?
Yeah, it's kind of something that we do quite a few consumer shows, and we get a lot of questions, and a lot of guys are on budgets. I mean, and they go onto these forums, and everybody's telling them they need to buy this $500, $600 camera, which, I mean, I'm sure mainly the most suggested camera is the G20, the G30 by the Canon in the Vixia series. And it's a great camera, but for guys just getting started, they don't need that. And what we were realizing was a lot of guys that are just getting into it, they're going in and they're buying GoPros just out of ignorance. And I've beat this like a dead horse, like to it. What's that saying?
Beat like a dead horse. Yeah, I think that's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Either way, the number of people that approach us and be like, yeah, I film my hunts with a GoPro. I'm like, okay, well, clearly I didn't talk about it enough, because you're not going to get the footage you're looking for. You can take that money that you spent on a GoPro and buy a $179 HD camcorder, and you're going to get way better footage. So it quickly dawned on me that we really got to put some content out there that kind of helps these beginners figure out exactly what they need to get into it. And that's one thing that we've really been trying to do, just educate people on the best system. A camera you can get for under $200, HD camera. It's not necessarily like TV quality, but a lot of these guys are taking baby steps. It's their first step to filming their hunts. They might eventually get a $700-800 camera. Maybe eventually they really step it up and get something that's, I mean, upwards of $2,000. I mean, that's down the road, but to get started, a lot of guys saying, man, there's no way to do it under $2,000 to get the whole kit going. It's like, man, you don't need that kind of money to get out there and record your hunts. You just need a HD camcorder, a good arm, and even in that $500, I even put in a couple links to just cheap external shotgun mic.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt, man. I mean, and to me, you know, you, as a newbie or even a guy that's been filming for a while, you have to understand like where you're at and what your end goal is. So if you're trying to promote a product or make a living in the outdoor industry, you know, that's much different than like I'm trying to have a memory, you know, of my hunt. And I have buddies that film that, you know, they have no reason to film other than the fact that they want to remember the hunt. So, you know, I encourage people out there to also, you know, understand that like dropping $2,000 in the beginning is not, like you said, it's not needed unless you're trying to make TV quality footage, you know. I mean, just, you know, do what you want, have fun with it. Don't spend too much money. But like you said, don't get just like a POV camera, because you won't be able to see that deer being shot really. You know, you won't be able to tell what's going on. You need something that has a little zoom on it. And, you know, you could still probably get like one of the older model GoPros at a decent price and, you know, do anything like interviews with yourself just to tell yourself what, you know, was going on at the time or whatever.
Well, and another thing that's completely underutilized, as far as just kind of on the fly interviews, is just cell phones. Cell phones have gone so far. If you're really trying to just put together a quick hunt, there's I mean, I've got an iPhone 6 and the camera on that is so good that I could just sit there and talk to the camera, and it's easy. Everybody's got their camera charged, and just flip it around and do a quick interview that way. If you're really trying to just do something on a budget and it's not going to cost you anything additionally.
Yeah, exactly. KC, you want to weigh in on this, man?
Yeah. So Sam, you probably can tell that I'm pretty much just a little baby when it comes to film hunting and stuff like that. If you had one tip for the guy who in 2017 season wants to start filming his hunts, say he has a cheap DSLR or something, he's kind of already there, has what it takes to do it, what would be your one tip?
Learn to set up the camera in the right spot. And it does vary from tree to tree, but there have been a lot of guys come to me saying, man, it's frustrating. It's really hard to film your hunts. And it's certainly a commitment, but it doesn't have to be as hard as some people make it on themselves. Where, for example, if I'm right-handed, I'm holding the bow with my left hand and I'm drawing with my right. I don't want to put that camera arm on my left side. That's cutting off a huge chunk of my shooting lanes. I'm going to have it on my right side. And just something that simple has cost a lot of people opportunities. They're setting it up in a way that hinders a lot of their shot placements. If you put a camera arm in the right spot, it really doesn't hinder much or any opportunities. In order for you to shoot that direction, you would have to do a 180 and face the tree before you could get that shot off. And I could be losing viewers, so I apologize with the left and right. But basically, whatever hand that you shoot, if you're a right-handed shooter, you want to put your camera arm on that side, because that's an angle that you can't really shoot that well.
Right. Plus, you can, if you're a bow hunter, especially, you can use that right hand to control the arm and get it where you need it, and then clip on real quick, and you don't have much movement as much movement as you would if you were trying to use the left hand, then grab your bow and then swing it around and get it into the shooting lane and everything. That's a good tip, man.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And one other thing on that note, when you are standing there, you're holding your bow, a lot of people will take their bow and kind of put it on their hip while they're playing with that camera. Mm-hmm. You really want to make sure that your safety harness, because it clips right there. I like to put my safety harness underneath my outer layer, because that metal on metal contact can be loud. Mm-hmm. So just one more little tip, and I know you guys probably don't often hunt with a ton of layers just because it's Texas.
Yeah.
From Michigan, it's you're bundling up pretty good.
Yeah. I can imagine.
So I just try and put that harness underneath as many layers as possible.
Mm-hmm. Good tip. Good point. So what is, give us a quick rundown of your camera setup right now.
Yeah, actually, it's a little embarrassing. So
okay, we
try
can
not
skip
to
it.
judge.
No, I'm kidding.
no, I'm good with explaining it, because it does kind of show that you don't need a $10,000 camera to run it.
Right.
I'm totally fine with sharing the setup that I've got. I'm personally running a Fourth Arrow stiff arm. I'm running a external microphone. I cannot remember the brand off the top of my head, but it's very similar to a Rode, which is a more expensive option if you haven't looked into them. And then what I'm running as far as a camera is a Panasonic Lumix FZ1000.
Yeah.
And what that is what I believe is the cheapest camera that shoots in 4K that you can really get. Just FYI, kind of on a slight tangent, you don't need 4K. So anybody who's sitting there talking about listening to me say 4K and be like, oh man, I want that. No, you don't. You can't edit it. My computer's way too slow to do anything with it.
Yeah.
It's frustrating more than anything to just stick with HD. But it does. It's a bridge camera, so you can run it basically on one button, and you're recording similar to your camcorders, but you can also take really good photography as well with it. got a 1-inch sensor for low light. It's a pretty nice rig. One thing I want to invest in this year that I didn't this past year is a LANC controller that controls all of your camera functions. So you're not reaching up, you're adjusting the focus, you're adjusting the zoom. It's all just kind of on the handle of your fluid head.
Yeah, those are nice for sure. Well, cool, man. Who's your favorite filmmaker right now?
Oh man, it's tough. There's so many really, really good ones. I make fun of guys in the office all the time because I call them fanboys for certain brands. And so I've got a buddy who's a total Matthews fanboy, and I just give him crap for it all the time. They're great bows, but I have to kind of pull his chain, just mess with them a little bit. But I'll admit it, I am a complete Sick Mana fanboy. The films that Donnie is able to produce with the team, just phenomenal. So and he kind of started that whole movement. There's all kinds of videos out there that they're super cinematic. They're very, very epic. And it's kind of the opposite of what we talked about as far as being real per se. But Donnie was the first one to do it, and it still gives me chills. I'll watch the Rivers Divide and sit there and just be like, wow. Yeah. That was powerful.
He's a great storyteller, man, for sure. And that's a big, I think I saw I read another blog from you guys last night that talked about, telling the story. That's a big part of whether you're filming for yourself or commercially or whatever, to tell the story is why you're filming in the first place, essentially. So, he's really good at that. That's for sure. I dig a lot of his stuff.
You look at Rivers Divide, and there's one buck killed in 45 minutes.
Right. Yep.
If there's a story to be told, that's it.
Right. Yeah. It's not it's not a sleigh fest, 22-minute episode on TV where they kill 4 deer. It's the story of a couple of seasons.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. So I see you guys have been really busy doing the shows and stuff. How is the show season going for you guys?
It's been really good. We came back from ATA and we had a little break, and then we did a local show, which is always super nice. Kind of doing a show that everybody who's in the area, people we know personally outside of Fourth Arrow, are attending. So it's always cool to kind of be in front of them as well. We had that show, I think it was the 27th through 29th, and I think that was the second best show we've ever done. And the first best was Deerfest in Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. But we were, I think, right after this podcast, I'm kind of chatting with some of the other guys that are heading down to the Great American Outdoor Show this weekend in Harrisburg. So we really haven't done that many yet. We've got a pretty busy show schedule for this year, but it's just kind of kicking off. Yeah. But it's been awesome so far.
Well, good. Any new products that you can talk about that are obviously the ones that have been released for 2017 or anything that's in the future?
Yeah. That question could be answered in about 45 minutes because we are constantly thinking. But in short, we've got, on the Winsent side of things, we've got our Winsent grenade, which some of the viewers might be familiar with, but also our original Winsent, which goes off a timer, and it's really the first one vapor hunting scent. But two, it's also the first one that is constantly re-emitting itself. So it's on a battery. It goes off every minute. One issue we had this last year was just that regardless of if a deer is there or not, it's going off every minute. So if deer are sitting there and they put their face right on it, they put their nose right on it, they're trying to figure out what it is, and it emits all that vapor, they jump back to 10 yards and they get a little spooky and they're trying to figure out what it is. So new for this year, we just included a remote. So you can sit in your tree deer start coming in and they're got their nose in the air, they got their nose on the ground, sniffing all that scent coming back, and they're going to head right to that wind scent unit, you can turn it off from up to 40 yards away. So as far as the wind scent line, that's a new thing that's really going to allow a lot more people to use it. I'll be honest, I did kind of stop using it last year for that reason. I would get the does that came out first, and they would kind of get a little spooky when they would see it go off. Mm-hmm. And then the bucks that were behind them, they wouldn't want to come out and hang out in that field or in that kind of staging area just because they saw something goofy was going on up there. So that remote really solves that problem, and we're excited to get that out there. New for the camera arm side of things, we've got our extension arm. And what that allows guys to do is, historically, you buy a 2-section or a 3-section arm, and that's what you've got. And we looked at it like, well, why don't we just make it a removable section where if they need that extra little bit of reach to wrap around a big tree to get around them, you can utilize it, but otherwise it can just hang out in your backpack, and you can pick and choose what trees you really want to use it with. So it doesn't replace any current arms that are in the marketplace. It just enhances them. So that's new for this year, as well as the Outreach, which is a point of view camera arm. I used it. You'll actually, again, see it in my Michigan season episode. It's in there. That's really what captured most of the hunt. I dropped the ball. My big buck, I was so excited it was out of focus. So most of that hunt is captured with that extension point of view arm. And not to confuse people, because I know we just talked semi-negatively about using point of view arms or point of view cameras. They're great for second angles, but you don't want that to be your primary angle that you're filming your hunt with. And then lastly, I know this is a lot, but I could really make it longer, so I am trying to shorten it up for you. Coming into turkey season, one of the big issues we always ran into was those things have such good eyesight that moving a tripod to get around any potential obstacles in a blind or outside of a blind is nearly impossible without being spotted. So we created a tripod adapter and a 10-inch arm that you can mount on top of your tripod, and it gives you 20 inches diameter of rotation that you can kind of get around a lot of obstacles that don't require picking up, moving the entire tripod, tilting it out the window. You've all seen it done. It's tough when you're in a ground blind. There's certainly limitations, and that what we call the Rex arm was our way to kind of combat that and make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, I saw that, and that is a pretty cool thing for sure. I know a couple of years ago I did a turkey hunt with a couple buddies in Kansas, and we kind of ran into the same issue where we basically just took a slider and put it on top of the tripod so that we can move that camera around any brush a little bit better to get the right angle. Because if you've ever turkey hunted, it can get pretty tough to film. Like you said, good eyesight and a lot of brush, between you and the animal. So that's a really neat,
absolutely.
Really neat idea that you guys and product that you guys have come out with. Now, where can people that are interested in, blog tips from you guys or any of the Fourth Arrow products, where can they find more information about you guys?
Yeah, you can head to fourtharrow.com, and that's kind of the parent company website. And from there's very obvious links to Fourth Arrow camera arms, and then windscent.com as well. So you can kind of check out the different brands we have going on. Obviously, the Fourth Arrow camera arms are as it relates to the filming, and then the windscent is the vapor scent dispersal system.
Awesome, man. Well, we'll make sure to link to that in the show notes and in the video as well, anything else we can think of. So, man, thank you guys for just having painstaking attention to details, making a killer product, and I'm really stoked to see what the future holds for you guys for sure, man. Thanks for taking time out of your busy day.
No, I appreciate it. It was great talking to you guys. thanks for reaching out.
We appreciate it a lot, dude.
Thanks a lot, guys.
We'll see you soon. We really appreciate Sam coming on. Make sure that you go check the links out in the show notes, and we'll post a link to Sam's kill from this year, and then some links to the Fourth Arrow stuff, so that if you're interested in filming your hunts, you can grab that link and go see what they have to offer. They really offer a pretty affordable camera arm system. In the world of camera arms too.
There's a couple different levels too. I was looking at that base one, and it looks great for if I just wanted to head to the woods and
capture your hunt.
Yeah, just capture my hunt, maybe put it on YouTube for my buddies to see. It'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Yep.
They have a lot of cool products there. So anyway, yeah, you guys can go check that out. So links will be in the show notes if you're interested in filming Fourth Arrow. Go check them out. And then, as always, if you have enjoyed this episode, please take a quick moment, give us a review on iTunes. It will help us out immensely. We have seen a huge jump in where the Element Podcast ranks in searches now, just because of the few reviews that we've received so far. So for you who may not know how to give a review, I'm not sure if you can do it from mobile or not. I think you can.
Yeah. You go to reviews on, there's 3 tabs. There's details, reviews, and I don't know, something else. But reviews is right in the middle. Click reviews and go down. It'll show you how many stars you can give, and there's a button that says write a review, and just write us up something. Tell us what you think. And
I think you just log in with your Apple account and you create a fake name if you want to.
Yeah.
So you could call yourself Robin Hood or whatever you want to do.
That's it.
And yeah, so give us a review right now. Go do that, and we really, really, really will appreciate the feedback that you may give us if you have anything that you'd want to hear in the future as well. So that's your chance.
Yeah, awesome, guys, and also please remember to keep it public and don't stop calling those senators and representatives and let them know what the sportsman's voice is and the fact that we cherish and care to continue to have access to public lands across the United States, not just in the West, but everywhere you are. This is an important issue. And just remember to call them up and tell them to keep public lands in public hands.
Yeah, exactly. That's about all we have for today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back with you shortly to let you know what we've been up to. So anyway, God bless you guys. From Casey and I, we will see you soon. Peace.